Well, that didn't work too hot for a video backdrop. I mean, it does kind of hide the kitchen behind me, but I just thought of some ghetto idea where I would take a couple of tripods and go boop boop and put a blanket behind me, but the tripods aren't tall enough to get it up over my head, and I don't. I do have at least one tripod that's taller than these, but not by much. And I'm just looking around and I'm like, I don't think there's anything I can do to make this better. I'd have to lower the. I don't know, man. I don't think there is. I don't really. I don't know. Playing around, experimentation. I'm showing you how it works. But, I mean, it almost worked. It would have been all right to just. If I could just get that thing up a little higher. So close to being able to have a free backdrop for a bit. Sitting here trying to, you're watching me look around, trying to think of like, okay, what could I do to get the thing up a little higher? I just don't. There really isn't anything that I could do. And I'm not gonna hang stuff. I'm not gonna like screw hooks into the ceiling to do some weird thing like that, because that would be another way to do it. You can see the refrigerator behind me. Oh well, I thought maybe. It's early this morning. I woke up, I went to sit down with my coffee, and I grabbed a blanket because it gets a little chilly in here when the AC runs all night. But then during the day, it's like the opposite. It heats up, and it gets a bit hot in here at times. It really depends on if the sun is out. If it's a cloudy day, it's not as bad. If the sun is just banging down on the house, it will get, the mini split will do pretty much almost nothing. But if the mini split shuts off, like the power outages the other day when they were working on the house next door, 5 minutes of that mini split being off, you're gonna know. And it's the only time the heat ever bothers me is when I'm sitting in front of my computer doing work. That's the only time that I don't want to be hot, when I'm when I'm in the middle of the tropical summer or whatever. But I mean, speaking of weather, everybody's like, oh, you're gonna hate the summers here in Houston. It's July 2nd. It's 80 degrees right now here. Now that will probably be, okay, they're saying 93 degrees, which it'll probably be mid 90s today. Thursday and Friday, they're calling for it to be 100 degrees. Okay, fine. It was 105 in Boston last week, or 2 weeks ago. My best friend was up there who lives in Houston now, and it was hotter up there than it is down here. But they are calling Thursday and Friday, at least this weather app. Now it wasn't saying that yesterday because I looked. And they're not. See, that's another weird thing. I've got this little widget that pulls the forecast in from the Weather Channel.com, and then I click on the thing to go to the website, and Thursday and Friday they're saying 92, 93. But on this app, they're saying 100 for both days. So, but they're supposedly getting it. The Weather Channel is feeding the widget its data. So, I don't know. That's one thing I've noticed down here in Houston. The weather apps, every single weather app is trash. None of them get the weather right. Like, worse than where I grew up, or worse than where I'm from. Worse than, like in Pittsburgh, all the weather apps would pretty much tell you the same thing. It's going to be this temperature, this chance of weather, thunderstorms, whatever. They're not always right. But down here, you could have 4 different weather apps with 4 completely different forecasts. Completely different forecasts. And none of them will be right. So, I would assume it is harder to predict the weather here, because you don't know when thunderstorms are just going to appear, because they just bubble up out of nowhere and start banging down rain. But the weather here, the weather report completely changed. The 10-day forecast yesterday said that it wasn't going to rain at all for the next 10 days. Now it's saying it's going to rain every day for the next 10 days. So I don't know. You can't put too much stock into this. This weather nonsense. What is going on here? Got some weird shit going on with my internet. I'm hoping it's not T-Mobile deciding, oh, wait a minute, we've been giving this guy too good of internet lately. We gotta put that to rest. Can't let him have good internet anymore. It's been too... No, it's actually pretty good. Speed test. It's way better here. The T-Mobile. So I would have. I'm not gonna say I would have felt bad giving them a blasted, horrible review, because as a company they suck. The upload speed's pretty shit today, compared to what it usually is. But the download speed is fine. It's the service has been better since I moved here. I have not felt like I need to run out and get new internet service. So let's see. Since I'm sitting here doing a video for today, I may as well just go through my notes. And I think the biggest thing I'm feeling lately is just time. I don't have enough time. It's already Wednesday and I'm like out of my fucking mind with like, how do I even get everything done that I'm supposed to get done today? I got things done yesterday. It's just, that's gonna be the story of my life for a while. I think the biggest thing I'm being pressed with is I need to change things around to save time and energy. So, you know, I keep talking about how I got to get rid of this bakery job. It's not... Things that I can do to save time and energy would be get rid of the bakery job and find a replacement for now. Get a car, which I'm working on. That took a big hit. I just paid my rent, and I also had to get groceries. I think I went 2 weeks without grocery shopping. I've been doing that over the last couple of months. I would say April, May, in June, I probably did grocery shopping once every other week. So instead of like my grocery supply and my food supply slowly building and building and building over time and getting better and better over time, it's been getting worse and worse and worse, and I'm depleting my stuff because I'm going 2 weeks between shopping each time. And so I'm eating into more of like the stuff I haven't stored more and more as each week goes. So just, but it's because my finances have been just ransacked. The rent payment yesterday was insane for here. You know, I know people who pay a lot more money than that, but it was a month's rent plus half a month's rent all in one shot. And that half a month's rent would have been a month's worth of grocery shopping every week. It would have been, I could have done a lot of things with that half a month's rent. And now I've got like not much in the bank. I'm at a scary place today. So, I mean, people, honestly, I wouldn't even have gotten through the last month if it weren't for help from people. The help was meant for me to get a car. But even the people that did that said, you know, do what you got to do. I mean, no, you know, but I'd like to see you get a car. And so I got timing sucked because I was like right about to move. I was like 2 weeks away from moving when that guy came through with a car to send over here. And if it wasn't for that slumlord douchebag doing what he did, I could have done it right that day. I could have done it that day. But I'm not like, things all happened for a reason. I moved in here, things needed to be done. And, you know, I could itemize everything I've spent money on since I moved in here. And I got a TV. So that was the frivolous thing that I spent some money on, about $100 on a TV. And, but everything else I don't feel was frivolous. It's not like I'm spending the money on hookers and blow, and I'm keeping track of what I do spend it on. That's part of my problem today, getting back to changing things around to save time and money. Time. If I can't make more money, I need to make more money, and I can make more money if I can find more time to do it. Energy. It's not just the cycling to the bakery and back. It's the energy that it takes out of my life to do that. It's crazy. It's getting worse. I felt really good riding my bike home a couple days ago. Monday. I made tracks. It was a pretty fast ride and I had a lot of energy. But yesterday I felt dead to the world. The whole day I was just hurting, pain. I'm going to take a hot bath today and soak Epsom salts and the whole thing. Possibly right after I shoot this video because I'm still feeling it. So I'll probably feel good on Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday I got to go right back to this bicycle thing. Sunday, I know I'm not going to church. I already know I'm not going to church on Sunday because I've got to take my bicycles apart and replace all the brake pads. And if I'm going to do that, I may as well do other things and make sure that my bicycles are clean and happy. And there's a couple of other little projects on the bikes that I can probably do because I'll have time. Because right now I'm only riding one bicycle. Brake pads are still okay, but when I was looking at how worn out they actually are, I was like, oh, here we go. So I'm going to replace all of them. The ones on the Red Rocket are a pain in the ass, a little bit of a pain in the ass to change. Those brakes are hard to deal with. It's a little bit of a project. The Silver Bullet brake pads, those are a lot easier to deal with. I can probably change all 4 brake pads on the Silver Bullet in the same amount of time that it takes to do 1 brake pad on the Red Rocket. But I'm good at it. It's just a pain. The cantilever brakes are the hardest ones to work on in all of bicycle brakes, and it's not a big deal. I've worked on thousands of them over my time because they were extremely popular back when I was wrenching in bike shops, so I probably have more experience with those than any other kind of brake. That's why I don't like working on them. But they're good for that bike. They were a good choice for that Cannondale because the touring bike, they have more stopping power, and there's other benefits of mud and dirt clearance, and there's just, I don't know, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good setup. A lot of clearance for fenders if I wanted to put fenders on that bike. So which I really don't, but I could. But so what do I do? How do I without finding a new job to replace the bakery, I still have to do it. So what else can I do? Just little things, like things that I do, things that I've already stopped doing. I'm no longer going to meticulously track the jobs that I apply to and keep track of what's going on with every job application and keep track of how many I got and how many. I had a reason for doing that. I thought people were going to be climbing up my ass when I got out of prison. So right when I got out of prison, I started keeping like really meticulous records about everything I'm doing. Not just job searching, but just everything I accomplish in a week. I would track it and store it somewhere. I was getting put on blast by my ex. Like she was calling me a lazy piece of shit who just sits in front of the computer all day and does nothing. That's what I was being called. And so now in that case, nothing I say or do is going to change her mind because she was just being an asshole to me. To be honest, a lot of the things I did when I was sitting in that chair doing nothing at that apartment saved my ass later on. So yeah, sitting and doing nothing, that's exactly what I was up to. But I could have sat there and said, no, this week I did the A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Next week I did, Q, R, S, T, U, V, all these things. And I had it documented. But I thought, like I said, I thought people were going to be up my ass, so I documented all this stuff. The social services people in Jamestown were up my ass about looking for a job. I had to go in and prove that I was searching for a job and do these weekly reports in person, where I'd have to go wait in line to go speak to somebody there and fill out and get signed off, or I'd lose my food stamps and stuff. So, but I'd say since I moved, I would say sometime in May, I gave you guys an update at some point where I gave you all the breakdown of how many jobs I've applied to, how many job interviews I've had, and all that stuff. And ever since I did that, I don't give a shit anymore. I'll apply to jobs, I'll send out resumes, I've filled out job applications. I'm not writing them down anymore. I don't give a fuck. If I get a rejection email, I just delete it. I don't care. I've really reached that point, because the bottom line is, if you have a felony, forget it. You're not getting a fucking job. Just, FYI. They tell you something, they fill you full of shit when you're, they sit there and say, oh, there's plenty of jobs for felons. There's not. There's not. Burger King, McDonald's, they do background checks now. All the fucking DoorDash. You can't fucking deliver food on a bicycle with DoorDash. They check your fucking criminal background. So, yeah, there's nothing out there that's going to hire you. So, I can't get a job. I've applied to over 500, less than 600 jobs at this point. I've been hired by one, making $10 an hour at a bakery that's 24 miles away from where I live. And I got to ride my bicycle to get there. That's what it is. That's it. I was doing it a little bit to talk to you guys about it, share it, like the struggle or whatever. But it's one thing I've just said, you know what, fuck it, I don't care anymore. I'm not going to sit here and keep these detailed records and spend an hour, even if it's an hour a week, to organize it and keep track of it. I've reached the point I don't give a fuck. So there's one thing I can cut out. And just put the time towards other things, even if putting the time towards something else is time I could sit and watch a TV show or something at the end of the day. Because fuck it, man, you gotta rest, and you can't recover if you don't rest. So, and that insane to-do list that I was keeping track of with the Trello board, the Kanban board, and just keeping track of all the things I'm working on, I've cut out. I'm not doing that anymore. It's too much. It's not helping me more. It's hurting me more than it's helping me. I was just keeping this insane to-do list and tracking what got done each week, and then archiving it into there's a way to do it there where you archive it and give it a name, and I could just say things I got done this week, things I got done that week, and it's pretty easy to do. But when I was doing it and just making sure I tracked everything I got done, it was helpful and it was too much. So I'm not gonna just throw that thing away, but I'm not at the same level I was over a year ago when I was doing that, like, kind of meticulously. So I'm not gonna stop having a to-do list, and I'm not gonna throw that one away, but I'm just backing off in terms of being meticulous about it, because it's a time suck, and I'm trying to cut things out that I don't need to do. So I'm gonna kind of sit down with all of that, come up with a little bit of a fresh start, because I do have a different way to do this, and kind of the first couple of weeks I may have to put some time into it. But the last time I followed this way of doing things, how do I explain it? I got this idea. Well, I met up with this life coach. That's the best way I can describe her. Really cool chick. Got to know her a little bit. Helped her a couple of times with a logo design, and took a couple of her classes, and kind of traded some services back and forth. But she had this one course that was like pre-made. It wasn't like a live thing, but I had access to it, and it was about setting goals and reaching your goals. And it was just kind of there on her website, and since I had access to all that stuff, I did that course. And out of all the stuff that I learned from her, I thought that was the most useful to me. And so I have in my Notion notes, I had a version of that I had set for myself back before I was arrested, and I was using it, and it was pretty effective. It just helped me focus on what was most important every week and kind of toss the stuff that wasn't off to the side, but not forget about it. And it kind of just forces you, unlike that Trello board that I was looking at, where all of the Trello boards, it's just stuff I want to do. And you can prioritize it to a degree. So it's not a lot different than this, but this is just the way you organize it. It forces you to look at it differently. And it's kind of like, it helps you organize it into like, what can you do right now this week? What do you think you can do in 3 months? What do you think you can do in 6 months? What do you think you can do in a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road? And you can take something that you want to accomplish 10 years down the road and kind of work backwards and say, well, what can I do this week that would help me reach that goal? And you can just kind of, in a 2-minute description, that's kind of how this works. And so I think I already kind of started work. I made a clone of my thing that I had before I was arrested, and a lot of these goals are just gone, because that was a major life changing event, and there's a lot of things that aren't the same. And so I'm reworking it to be what I want it to be today. But this is something that you take a little bit of time out of your day, which, obviously I'm pulling one thing out that I do, I'm trying to save time, not add things to my list. But this isn't something that you have to do every day. This is something that you could go 3 weeks without. Come on! This fucking app. Fuck you! This Notion is a shitty app. It's a shitty app. It was trying to let me use AI to change all of your notes and rewrite them for you. No, it's they're notes, you fucking piece of shit. Fuck off. And I couldn't get the damn thing to go away. I'm looking for a replacement for Notion. Even, that's another thing. But when you have an app that you use, I used Evernote for a long time, and Evernote became completely unusable. They just kept train wrecking this app every time they put out a new release. The app just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I used to pay for the app. I used to pay a yearly subscription, and the app got so bad, I'm like, I'm not paying for this shit anymore. And I started replacing it, but I couldn't find one app to replace everything it did. So I ended up finding like 4 or 5 different apps to replace parts of what it did. Notion was one of those replacement apps. But then there's a bunch of stuff that's baked into Notion that is way above and beyond what Evernote did in certain categories. And so now I have to take Notion and probably find 3 or 4 apps that will replace the things that Notion does in my workflow. But I got to get rid of Notion, because that Notion, the app, is going the way Evernote did. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And there's all these bugs that have been around for 10 fucking years and people have been complaining about, and they just don't give a fuck. They won't fix basic bugs, but then they come up with this new AI widget that shows up in your face while you're trying to type a fucking note. A note. It's not like you're typing up a thesis or a book or a magazine article or something important. You're taking notes, and it's going, hey, it's like that paperclip guy on fucking Microsoft Word. It's like, hey, I'm the AI guy and I can do all this for you. And it's like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking piece of shit. Fix your fucking bugs. Fix the fucking bugs that you refused to fix for 10 fucking years that one shitty programmer could fix in 2 days. And stop putting this fucking AI bullshit in front of me every time I type 2 fucking sentences. Like, this app is fucking falling apart. It's going downhill. And it's the same thing that happened with Evernote. And so you just have to be flexible when you, but then that's just more time out of my day. Now I gotta go and fucking find another app to replace this app with. And I don't know. I was born in the wrong fucking time, because I do hate this fucking world. I hate this fucking world. I hate the time that we live in right now. And I'm not alone. Most of you, a lot of you who watch this channel are just sick and tired of all this shit. Yeah, there's some cool stuff, videos on the internet. That's a cool thing, right? But you can only, all the dumb lemmings are trained to go to YouTube, so we can't have more than one platform to share videos on. Because nobody will go watch them anywhere else. YouTube, it's the only one. Dumb bunch of dumb trained seals. Nobody can go. Nobody could ever make another competitor to YouTube and take, away from YouTube and go to a free speech platform where they don't ban you and shadow ban you and censor your speech and all that stuff, because the dumb lemmings don't know anything other than go to YouTube. It's like having a domain name for a website that doesn't end in .com. It's like it doesn't even exist. If you get .org, maybe, if you're a charity or something like that. But if you have .net at the end of your web address, people are like, oh fuck him, it's .net. I'm not going there. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have the .com at the end. Even though there aren't really any .coms left, because there's so many damn websites out there, it's almost impossible to find a decent .com. I don't even know how the fuck I got litgood.com, because it took me a couple of weeks of fucking around to find out that was available. And I had lists of domain names, and I just didn't want to settle on any of them. And then that one popped up, and I'm like, yo, that's the one. That's the one. You can't fuck with that. That's like a gold. That's liquid gold. Man, that's like a 24 karat gold.com domain name right there. But anyway, I gotta have a little bit of a fresh start, and I gotta refocus on some things that are important now, and just have like a simpler system to keep track of it all. And but I'm still keeping my timesheets. That's becoming a pain in the ass to track my time that I spend on different things week after week. It's easy Tuesday through Friday to do that. But then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday I'm behind, because I'm so burned out and tired that I don't even log in to update this thing. And then I end up having to spend a half hour to an hour on Tuesday or Wednesday to backfill everything that I did, and then try to remember everything that I did and when. And so that's getting a little bit, everything, this bakery job and the bicycling it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem that I keep trying to make adjustments to make it less severe. I cannot do it every day. I can't. It's not possible. If they told me I had to work 30 plus hours there, like if the probation officer said you either work 30 hours a week at the bakery or you go to prison, then forget it. I'm gonna have to shut down every other thing I do including these videos, because I will have absolutely no energy at all. I will get up at 5 in the morning, go work an 8-hour day, take another hour and a half bike ride home, get home at 7, and then have 10 hours between 7 when I get home and walk in the door and when I have to wake up and go do it again, day after day after day. How long are you going to do that? How long are you going to go on these 50-mile bicycle rides, 48-mile bicycle rides, working a back-breaking job for 8 to 10 hours a day? How are you going to, and then come home? How much energy are you going to have after that? You're not. Nobody is. Fucking Lance Armstrong wouldn't even be able to do that day after day after day. Even with his testosterone boosts and all the drugs that he took to cheat in the Tour de France, you still wouldn't have any energy left over after that shit. So, I'm just trying to make small adjustments to give me more energy and time. Because that's my biggest problem now, which, if that's my biggest problem on July 2nd, if I look back 2 months, May 2nd, I had a hell of a lot worse problems on May 2nd than I do on July 2nd. So, it's all getting better. This isn't really me complaining. It's just looking at, okay, now that you're settled into this new place, what do you got to work on next? What's going to get you to the next level? And for me right now, to get to the next level, I need energy. I need like one of those flowers. I need to bash my head on a question mark box and have like one of those big mushrooms pop out. And those I probably shouldn't be eating those mushrooms because that'll show up on a drug test. But maybe the flower that lets you spit out fireballs, since I can't have a gun. There's nothing that says I can't eat a flower that makes me go blup, 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 blup and shoot out fireballs out my mouth. I don't know. I mean, technically that might get me in trouble, but I need something. I need like a power pill that gives me energy and doesn't get me in trouble. And because I'm sure, doesn't meth do that? I don't know. If I took meth, would I be like, yeah, or cocaine, right? For like, a couple hours. It's like that commercial from the 80s. The dude does more coke so he can work longer, so he can make more money, so he can do more coke, so that he can work longer, so that he can make more money, so that he can do more coke, so that he can work longer, so he can make more money, so he can do more coke, so he can work longer, so he can make more money, so he can do more coke, and it just goes like that for 30 seconds, and then the commercial ends. You get Nancy Reagan showing up, don't do drugs, kids. But no, I need like a real way that actually gives me energy and doesn't ruin my life. And so I just got to cut a few things out and just not be so meticulous about certain things that are just time wasters, like tracking the jobs at the level I'm tracking them. I'm just, if I ever need to do that, if somebody climbs up my ass and says, I need to see a weekly report of the jobs that you're applying to and everything that's going on from that day forward, okay, fine. I'll tell you. But if I don't have to do that, then why bother? I'm not even gonna write down. I'm not even gonna put it somewhere. So what if you apply to the same job twice? But certain things that I do every week have to be done, like keeping track of finances. It's more important now because I make 25 grand a year or less to keep track of my money. And that 25 grand comes from 1, 2, 3, like 5 different places when you add it all up. So I have to keep track of not only where is it all coming from, where is it all going, what's it being spent on, and all that crap. back before I was arrested, it was more like my money comes from one, maybe two sources, so that's easy to track. But then I've got bills, lots and lots of bills, and I had multiple credit cards, and so I had all these accounts, and I would use the credit, like I had one credit card specifically that I would pay every single bill that could be automatically paid every month. I put on one or maybe two cards depending on what their upper limits were. So the electric bill, the cable, the internet bill, the whatever other bills, everything except for rent would go on one. Tried to do it on one card, one credit card, maybe two. And then I would log in once a month and pay that credit card one payment out of my checking account. That way I know my bills are paid on time. I don't got to worry about that. But I got to make a big payment to keep that zero balance on my credit card every month. And then I'd had like a credit card I would use just for gas. I go buy gasoline. Every time I fill up my gas tank, I use this card. And so I had a bunch of credit cards at one point, but I really only used them. I never really went out. Well, I went on a victory lap when, first thing that happened was I lost my job because I wouldn't take the vaccine. So I had all these credit cards that had zero balance. And that's what I did that. That's why I had them. And that's why I kept their balances at zero and made sure they were paid off every month and didn't like go out and buy a bunch of dumb shit. It was for an emergency. I had a line of credit that was well over 10 grand. And that got me through 4 months of being unemployed without getting unemployment because the state of Pennsylvania decided if you get fired for refusing the vaccine, you don't collect unemployment for that, because you disobeyed a lawful order from your company. And that's what and so I had to fight them, and I never did get the money. I never did get my unemployment check. I ended up 10 grand in fucking debt because I had to use those credit cards to pay bills every month because I had no money coming in. I had a little bit of money in the bank, a little bit, that I socked away when I knew I was getting fired. And then I used the credit cards to pay the bills every month, and then I would pay the minimum payment on each credit card. And that started to add up over 4 months. And then I got a job, good paying job. First paycheck I got on that job, I was like, victory tour, and I went and fucking spent. I went and refurnished 2 rooms of my house as a victory lap. As like a prize for getting past that fucking bullshit. And then I started paying off those credit cards to the tune of about $1,000 a month. So I was down to about 6 grand in debt when I got arrested, because it was 4 months after I got that job. So 6 more months I would have had zero balances on all those cards again. But the only reason I was able to do that and juggle all of that crazy shit and not go insane trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with what and pulling out envelopes and looking at that and is because every single week I would sit down and track all of the stuff very meticulously into an accounting tool, and that tracked all of these accounts, what money's going where, and just all that stuff was documented. And so the day I got out of prison, within a week of being out of prison, I had something set up for me to do that again. And the first month or two that I was out of prison, I wasn't spending any money. Really wasn't that hard to keep up with this. But now I've got bills to pay. I've got multiple sources of income. Some are good and some aren't, but they all add up. If you look at it over the course of a year, it does add up. So I got to keep track of the hardest thing right now is just all the different things. It's not the amount of money, it's the different things. I've got freaking stock photo webs. I got 2 stock photo accounts where I make like maybe 20 cents in a week. I check this account, my Adobe stock photo site. Oh, I made $1.12. I gotta track that. I gotta enter. I made $1.12 selling photos on this ledger, so that I know how much fucking money I have. That $1.12 is gonna come in handy one of these days. I'm gonna be like, thank God I had that $1.12 show up. I just had to open up a fucking PayPal account again, and now they're giving me a hassle. I've got to upload, or I've got to take a photo of my driver's license and my face, but the driver's license has to have the same address as my new house, or that's gonna get rejected right away. So I've got to get a new driver's license with a new address on it and have that sent here, and I've got time for all of that, but it's like, I don't know, it's just another example of I hate this fucking world we live in right now. This kind of shit you didn't have to do 10 years ago. Fucking deal with these fucking automatic driver's license scanners just so that you can have a fucking PayPal account. So I don't know. Keeping track of the finances, some of the other things. I'm keeping track of my fitness stuff, mainly because it's not super difficult to do. My Strava account gets dirty because I have 2 different devices. I have the same phone, but 2 different apps that track all of my rides. One is associated with this fitness tracker watch, and the other one is just Strava itself. And I also have another GPS, 2 actually, that are Garmin devices that I could use to track a ride or whatever, but I don't really want to, I don't even use it right now. But it all kind of like mashes. Strava's not intelligent enough that when I upload the data from this and the app at the same time, it isn't smart enough to know that it's me, that they're both me, or that it logs it as 2 separate bike rides. So it fucks up the mileage and everything, and I have to go in there manually and decide which one to delete and which one to keep. But the other day, this one here shut off when I went in to buy some Gatorade, and it didn't turn back on until I had ridden another 10 miles. I was almost home. And so there was this gap where the thing didn't record my ride. And so, but the other one did. So it's also having that redundancy that if one app fucks up and the other one picks up and records the thing, it's kind of nice to have the 2 things, because one serves as a backup to the other. And so I don't have to manually, I can just choose which. When I go into Strava and I see all these things, I can just choose the one that didn't get screwed up and delete the other one, and my ride will be logged and the mileage will be logged. And I'm tracking my mileage. I met my goal. I blasted past my goal before the month of June even began. But I'm curious to see if I actually get to 5,000 miles this year. And so that, I'm not going to stop doing that. So I'll give you the updates there for that. I did queue up a few videos last night. So you'll see one today, tomorrow. Where am I at? What is this? Okay, HC. Just looking to see how many days I've got. Oh, I got some comments. That's another thing YouTube's fucked up on. I haven't received an email for comments on the channel. June 16th was the last time I got an email notification about somebody leaving a comment on my videos. There's a Reddit thread right now about this. Supposedly YouTube has just decided to stop sending email notifications for when you get a comment on your video. So the only way this is fun. All right, so I'm getting some. That's funny. That's really funny. That's really funny. I'm glad I didn't put any time into that, but I still will because I'm gonna get paid. All right, so I'm being pulled. It's not good to sit in front of my computer while I talk to you guys because things show up in front of me while I'm talking. And my attention just goes there. So there's a video that'll come out today, being Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday. And then I've got more that I can just upload and do the thing. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be back in sync with doing a video that is recorded the same day I put it up. Because this flow kind of works for me right now, I'm not gonna lie. Being able to record something and then not have to scramble to get it up there and post it and make it live. So if I'm gonna do these sit down and talk to you videos, I think that's fine. I'm just gonna do it like that. Because really, the only thing that people were kind of chomping at the bit to see is if I moved. But now that I've moved, I don't think people are going to give that much of a shit whether it's, today is June 2nd. So whenever you see this video, it is whatever day it is. Is there anything I said in this video that matters what day it is? No. But I do want to do live streams. I want to. I don't know what day is the best day for that. Tuesday. I don't know, what's the best day for me in my schedule, and what's the best day where people would actually log in and watch. Probably have to screw around with that a little bit and just kind of see how it goes. But if I look at my calendar, I'm not shooting as many videos as I was the last month or so at that tool shed. So I could gang up another batch of videos and get them out. So maybe, so today is June 2nd. Today is July 2nd. The 4th of July, obviously that's not a good day to do a live stream. But let's just see next week, because I can probably announce it with a short little clip and just throw an announcement in there that I'm going to do a live stream and it's going to be on whatever day. So if I start live streaming, I don't know, is Sunday a good day to do it? I don't know if it's a good day for me, because that's kind of Monday's no good, Saturday's no good. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I feel like Friday's the best day. Thursday or Friday is the best day for me. That's what I feel. Thursday or Friday is the best day for me. So maybe but then Friday, I don't know, is Friday a good day? Because isn't that the night that everybody likes to go out and party, and the week's over and I want to spend the night either, relaxing, the work week's over, for a lot of people, and the hell? Huh. Okay. Had the work week was over, and isn't that just the day people want to go and chill? Friday. But I know other channels do their live stream Friday night. Maybe Thursday night. Thursday night at 6 o'clock Central Time. That's 7 o'clock Eastern Time. 6, 5, 4. That's 4 o'clock West Coast Time. 7 p.m. my time. That would be 5. That would be 8. In Alaska time, that's 4 hours difference. So I'm trying to do the math here. If I do it at 7 o'clock my time, that's 8 o'clock Eastern, 7, 6, 5, 4 Alaska time. If I'm trying to cover, forget Hawaii. Because I know there's people in other countries too that would be on board for it. So maybe but I'd like to do a regular time. If I'm going to do a live stream, I'd like to make it a regular time so that I'm thinking it's either going to be July 10th or July 11th. And we'll give it a shot. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know shit about doing this other than up until now I didn't have an internet connection that I could even try it with. Well, at my friend's house I could, but am I going to do a live YouTube stream at my friend's house with his whole family in the background and no. No, he had a good internet connection, but that wasn't something I was going to do there. Could have probably found a place to go sit and chill and do it, but I'm just trying to debate whether Thursday or Friday is better for me. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to go out on the limb and say Thursday because, let's say, Thursday at 6 my time. It'll still be light outside. Still be some natural light in here mixed in with the overhead lights. If I turn this on, oh, that's a bit harsh. It wouldn't look so bad though if I had the backdrop up a little bit further. All right, so I don't like that right now. It's too much. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock to just keep the window open. 6 o'clock to 8 live stream Thursday the 10th. And if I'm gonna put that in there. Live stream. Do a live stream for my homies, for all the people that have to have up to the date, live and up to the minute weather and YouTube blogs and everything else. This will be Thursday, July 10th at 6 p.m. Central Time. That is 7 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. on the West Coast. So on the West Coast, you may still be in the office. I don't know, but you'll always be able to watch a replay of it. So I assume maybe 4 people will show up if I'm lucky for a live stream, but maybe it's something to do. Maybe it's something different to do. And I'm just going to set this to be a recurring event weekly on Thursdays. Save. Now did it save? Boom. All right. That gives me, for me, that makes it so that it gives me enough time between now and next Thursday to figure out, do I do it with the phone or do I do it on my MacBook and set up, can I do a live stream from the MacBook? I know with YouTube it was a little weird when I do the live streams with other people. I have to do it on the phone through the YouTube app. So I don't know if I can do it using my MacBook's built-in camera or not. Regardless, I don't think it's a big deal. Either way, I think I'd be fine with doing it this way, the way I'm doing it right now, with the phone off to the side. So there you go. There's the channel update. I'll have a video out for sure on today, tomorrow being Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I'm trying to do that. So that's something else on my list of things I have to do. But I mean, overall, I get more hung up on the things that I get more hung up on the negative stuff and I get more hung up on the negative and the like feeling behind than I get hung up on. I get hung up more on feeling behind than I get hung up on the stuff I actually got done. And I need to kind of give myself some credit at times for the things I got done. I felt on the house. Let's talk about chores. I got behind on doing dishes. My water bottles for the water filter are like, because I had to use so much filtered water to make coffee and stuff like that, I got way behind on those. And my clothes, I've got some clothes back there that still need to be folded from last week's laundry. But okay, that's all bothering me, and it's like, oh, you fucking fell behind, and and I'm just beating myself up. But it's like, well, last Sunday I spent most of the day going through the last 2 boxes of my property that I moved in here and sorted everything out in those boxes, and now I don't have any boxes that haven't been sorted. And I'm down to, I have 1 storage tote that has stuff in it that I don't really have a place for or want to have around my place. Stuff that I know I don't have a place for, it just went in a storage tote. It's not super highly organized, it's just a lot of random stuff but it's 1 storage tote. Everything else is on a shelf or in a cabinet or somewhere organized. So the whole place looks pretty clean and organized. I'll take you on a tour. The thing that's bugging me the most, to be honest, is looking at this extension cord rig job that I have set up so that I can have the TV plugged in. I hate it. It's my OCD is getting sick of looking at that. But my money is so tight right now, I don't even want to spend $15 on an extension cord. Let alone the stuff that I would need to actually fix the wall outlets that are right there that I wouldn't need an extension cord for. Because either way, it's going to be like $15 to $20 to fix that problem. I got to wait until I get paid. And speaking of getting paid, I got to send an invoice to a client today. I was supposed to do it last night. I'm behind. I told him I'd send it to him last night. He told me he'd get it in the mail first thing in the morning. And last night came around and I got to the point where I just crashed. I crashed. And it was like 9:30 at night. I got my groceries delivered last night. I was so late ordering my groceries for the week that my grocery delivery didn't get here until after 9. And when the grocery lady showed up, I was like, all right, I'm done for the day. I'm spent. I put my groceries away. I ate some food because now I got my groceries. Booyah! And now I can eat. And I even cheaped out on the grocery shopping. I didn't get everything on my list. I just stuck to a budget. I went through the list. I crossed off the most important things, looked at how much money's left in my budget. Then I went down. I'm like, okay, I want some of that. I want some of that. Went down through the list again, looked at how much I got left. I'm like, okay, I got like $20 left. I'll get this, and that's it. I cut it off. So I got enough food and I can go another week. I can probably go 10 days without having to grocery shop again. But then I'm going to be completely out of a lot of stuff. And so getting paid. I got to send out an invoice today and I'm like, fuck, we've got the 4th of July holiday in the middle of that. So I'm looking at the calendar. If he puts it in the mail tomorrow, shit, I'm not going to get that until like towards the end of next week. But I'll also get a paycheck from the bakery on the 11th. And then all of a sudden I'll have enough to pay next month's rent and have money left over. Not much, but I'll have the money for rent in the bank, and then for the rest of the month I can try to cobble enough money together to get that car. Like, that might be possible. Because I just have to skate on thin ice until the 11th, and then I'll be okay again. So it's whatever, it is what it is. I knew this was coming. It wasn't this, I knew on May 15th or whatever day it was that I signed the lease for this place, I knew that July 1st was going to suck balls. I knew the month of July was going to suck. At least the day I paid that second. The first rent payment was going to be painful, but the second one was going to hurt bad. Because that you move and then you figure out, oh, I need this, I need that, I got to buy this, I got to buy that, and you just, all your fucking money disappears down a fucking black hole for the first 2 months every time you move. And I didn't get the things I want. I got the things I needed. I didn't get things that, there's things I want for this apartment, for this house, that would make it more comfortable, but those are on the back burner for now. I have a list. I know exactly down to the penny what it would cost to get it done. So I'll work on it. But I'm just not going to be too worked up about it. So anyway, I got this client. He's writing a book. I don't want to say we got into a fight yesterday, because that's not the right way to characterize it. So I changed the title on him. He had this title in his head. It didn't resonate with me, but I didn't want to change it either. I was just going to use the title he gave me. But during the design process, being creative, an idea started to form, and a different title came out of that. I was doing some research. I was experimenting with Photoshop and just putting a title together, or putting a cover art together. And I gave him the book cover. At the end of the day, I sent it to him. And he goes, wow, this is really nice. And he was really happy about it. And he liked he liked it, generally speaking. And he told me different things that he liked about it. Well, yesterday we had our weekly meeting where we catch up and go over everything. And for an hour, he put me on blast for changing the title of his book and not listening to his directions, because he had an idea for the cover of his book, and I kind of just threw it away and did something better. But he was mad all of a sudden. He wasn't mad when I gave him the cover of the book. He thought it was nice. Somehow he let it, I did it on purpose. I let him sit on it for a number of days before we talked about it. I didn't get him right on the phone. I wanted him to settle in with it for a few days and see where he'd be. And he starts getting all mad that I changed the title, and I didn't listen, and I didn't put the thing on the cover that I was supposed to, and I didn't do it exactly the way I was told. And that happens a lot when you hire a graphic artist to do something for you. Are you looking for a professional that'll put something together that's really nice, creative, high-end, and going to do its job? Or are you just looking for a monkey to sit in front of a computer because you don't know how to use the software to do it yourself? Just a monkey that's going to do exactly what you say and not have any creative input at all. And so I'm not putting this guy on blast by saying that. I'm saying this is what happens every time somebody hires a graphic designer or an artist to do something like this for somebody. You have two kinds of clients. I'll have a client that just says, Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's all the ideas I have. I trust your judgment. Give me something awesome. Have at it. Off to the races you go. I go and I do my thing. I come back. I show it to you and you're like, damn. Wow, that's great. Yes, let's do it. Maybe you'll have some constructive input like, we need to change that around, or that, that aspect of it is great, but we need, it needs to say this instead of that, or, it can be changed around a little bit, but generally speaking, the idea is solid and we're just going to go with it. If you want to see that in process, the best example is to go watch the show called Mad Men and look for the episode, or you can find it on YouTube, where Don Draper comes up with the Kodak Carousel slide projector and presents it to Kodak. They were calling it the Wheel, and this is kind of like a true story. They wanted to call it the Wheel, and Don Draper was like, So he brought in the slide projector and he played a bunch of slides, and he basically told them, he's like, we're not calling it the fucking Wheel. Kodak's the client, and they're one of the biggest companies in America at that time. And this dude's walking into the meeting with them and saying, no, we're not calling it, that's a dumb name. We're calling it something else. Just turn off the lights. Let me show you. Click, and he goes through this whole presentation and he goes, it's the Carousel. Boom, and that became the #1 slide projector. Like, everybody had a Kodak Carousel in their fucking house, and it was like, if you see this scene from the show, Kodak had no choice but to just fucking do it, or they'd be dumb. And I'm not saying that's where I'm at with this client. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that there's two different kinds of client and designer relationships. A client hires a designer, the designer does their job, and the client is like, holy shit, I'm glad I hired you. And then sometimes the client just has an idea that's so set in their head that they're just hiring a monkey with 2 hands and a key and a mouse to do what's in their head, with no deviation from it, no creative input from the designer. They just want somebody to put on paper what they have in their head. They don't know how to do it themselves. Sometimes you get a combination of that, but I've been doing what I do for 30 years, so don't think that I haven't gone through this shit 100 times a year. But anyway, I know how to deal with this. I know how to present things. I know how to... one thing Don Draper would never do on Mad Men is present 2 ideas to a client at the same time. There was an episode about that where one of the designers that worked with him at the ad agency was like, why don't we show them both and let the client pick? He's like, never fucking do that. Don't ever do that. And it's true, because what happens, I've done that. I've come up with a logo design for a company. I came up with 2 really good logo designs for a company. And I liked one better than the other, but each one had a different tone and conveyed different feelings and messages. One was a little bit more business, and another one was a little more friendly. And so I made the mistake of showing them both. And all of a sudden you get into the fucking logo buffet. Well, I like this about this one, so let's take that out of there and mix it with that out of there and put these things together that don't go together and make one big fucking ugly mess of a logo instead. Instead of taking one of these really nice ones, why don't we make a real shitty one that combines everything that we like out of these 2 and put them together into one clusterfuck of a mess for our logo. And then that's it. You can't fucking talk them out of it once they make up their mind to do that. So no. If you're a designer and you're presenting your ideas to a client, don't show them the sketches. Don't show them how you came up with the idea. Get something that looks as finished as you can make it look without dumping a shitload of time into it and say it's this. And that's it. Just tell them it's this. Let the client get all mad about it. Let the client say, no, I don't like that. Okay, fine. All right, let's go back to the drawing board. Give me a few days and I'll get back to you again. And then when the Zoom meeting turns off, you go and you find idea number 2 that you already had. Tinker with it maybe, and then just set up a meeting in a few days and say, how about this? The second idea, your second place one. And see where they go and see what input they give you, or maybe they give you input that you can use to make a second idea that the client and you are both happy with. And maybe the ultimate goal for me when a client does that is to go back to the drawing board and come back to the next meeting with something that's better than what I had before, that I think is better than what we had before, and that the client is also happy with and thinks is what's better than we had before. So that's, if a client comes back and says, no, I don't want that, I want something else, I probably have 3 other things sitting there that I didn't show you. But I do that, that's on purpose. If I showed you 3 ideas for the thing, side by side, and this is what I'm afraid will happen with this, you'll start going, oh, I like this here, let's take that thing here and that one from this one and all this. And it's like you have a closet full of clothes and you're like, well, I like that shirt, but I like those I like that red shirt, but I like those blue shoes, and I like those checkerboard pants. And so you're gonna end up wearing a red shirt with checkerboard black and white pants and a pair of blue shoes. And you're gonna look like a fucking retard walking down the road. You know what I mean? You're gonna show up wherever you're going looking like a retard because you picked from the buffet. You didn't pick 3 things that go together. Pick a shirt, pair of pants, and shoes that actually match and belong together. It's the same thing with like a logo or a design or something like that. So I don't show 3 different book cover ideas because someone's gonna go, I like that part of this one and that part of this one and that part of this one, and they don't go together, and now you've made a clusterfuck. And now you want me to finish up a clusterfuck that's gonna look stupid compared to any of these 3 good ones that you had before. So I don't wanna do that. But anyway, we had this meeting and I tried to get a word in edgewise, and it's like every time I'd go, I'd be like, I try to say something, and I'm just getting put on blast for an hour about you didn't listen to me, you didn't do the book cover I told you to do, and all this and that. And I'm like, I'll do it. I'm like trying to explain. I'm like, let me walk you through where my thought process was on this one. Let me tell you why it works. Here's one reason, boom, boom, boom. And I was able to get my bullet points in and explain, this is why I went with this. Both with the title, the cover design, this is why I put this on the back cover instead of the front cover, because it works. And I just, I had solid reasons to back it up. If I showed you guys, you'd all agree. Don't go telling me the customer is always right, because they're not. If they were, they wouldn't have to hire me. There are certain things that you go to the fucking auto mechanic. Is the customer always right? If the customer goes to the auto mechanic and says, no, I just want you to change my blinker fluid and give me back my car, is the customer always right? No. You got to listen to the person you got to listen to the mechanic when the mechanic's telling you what's wrong with your car. Can you get a second opinion? Sure. Same thing with me, the bicycle mechanic. If you give me a bicycle and I tell you what's wrong with it and you're going to fucking argue with me, all right, go fucking ride down the road with no brakes and see what happens. I don't give a fuck, but don't blame me. I tried to tell you. No, the customer's not always right. But, I'm not going to be a dick about it. I told him, I said, well, I will do the cover that you want. And I even told him, I'm like, and I'm not going to make it ugly on purpose so that people see the one I made and like it better. I will take the idea that you have and do the best cover I can possibly do the way you want it done. Not ugly on purpose. I will do the best possible design I can come up with for what you want there. And we can do an A/B test. We can show it to people and see which one gets a better response. You know, if you want to test it out, show it to people. Show, here's the one I want, here's the one he did. I already know how that contest is going to go, but we'll do it. We'll do it. I don't want to give him 2 cover designs and then say, well, let's choose and let's mix and match and make one ugly one out of it by combining all the best parts of both into one ugly one that doesn't go together or have any kind of coherence or balance or anything like that. But no big deal. No big deal. I'll do it. It's not that big of a deal for me to come up with another cover. But anyway, we got past that. The meeting was like 3 hours long. This was just the first hour of us having, I didn't even think it was an argument, but he was a little bit worked up. But clients get like that. You're messing with someone's baby and they get a little emotional sometimes when they think that you're not listening to them. It's like, I'm listening. But when I sat down as the designer, this is what came out. I thought it was better. But anyway, so I'm sitting here, I just get an email. So we had, like, the meeting was fine. We didn't part ways during the meeting yesterday pissed off. I wasn't mad, he wasn't mad. We're all good. We're friends. It's fine. We just had that discussion about the book cover, and where it left off was do it the way I asked you to do it so that we can see the difference. It's like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. For real, I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, if a client's not happy with a design, especially when it's a rough sketch, it looked pretty final to a layman, but I didn't put enough time into it to make it a final piece of art. It was pretty low resolution, and it was just done enough to show the idea. If he chose to go forward with that, I would have to spend another day or 2 making it perfect. And it would look a hell of a lot better than it looked in the version I did, but it would be a better version of the same thing. So my goal is to make a second book cover that's just as good, that hopefully even I look at and I'm like, that's way better. That's way better than the one I showed him before. I'm glad he got pissed. I'm glad he got pissed, because now we're going to end up with a better book cover as a result. I don't feel that way, but I'm open-minded enough to sit down and try to make that happen. So anyway, I get this email this morning as I'm talking to you guys. Now he's let it sit for another day, and now he's like, I really like what you did, and I like the title. He's like, it's very thought-provoking, and he's like, it's really starting to like dig in, and he's like, I actually kind of like it better than where I was before. And now he's got all these different things to go with it, and now he's like, now it's almost like he doesn't want me to come up with the other book cover idea. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I'm glad you sat on it for another night and let it sink in. But sometimes you have to, I don't know how, I go through the same thing myself, where I'm trying to think of an example, because I know I've had more than one. Small thing. I bought that washing machine. I had a vision of how the washing machine was going to sit in my bathroom. And then I went and ordered one the wrong size. And I was pissed at myself. And I'm like half tempted to send the thing back, but I don't know what the process is to do that. And that's a big, like, that's not an easy thing to make a return on. All because I didn't measure this. If I had measured the space first, I would have ordered the smaller one that fit in the space. But now that I have it in there, And now that I've had it for a few weeks, even though it's turned to the side and I don't really like it, it does kind of fit in the room better. It gives me a place to stick my vacuum cleaner. And when I get the right dirty clothes hamper, I can put the hamper right next to the washing machine and just have it sitting there in a compact space that's out of the way. It is a cramped little bathroom. And there were only 2 ways I could put the washing machine. And at first I hate how the washing machine is sitting in there, but now I'm okay with it. Now it's not bothering me anymore. And if I wanted to get one of those divider screen things to hide the hot water tank and make the room look a little better, the washing machine could either be hidden by that or it could be in front of that and not look bad. But it's one of those things. I sat with it. I like the fact that it washes more clothes, that it's bigger, and I can put this blanket behind me, I can wash it in that thing. I don't know if it'll fit in the thing to dry it, but I know I can wash it in that tub. It's big enough. I washed the cover to my mattress and it was fine. It fit with room for clothes. And it was dry by the end of the day. So anytime I want to wash that thing, I can do it quick. But I can definitely get, if I do measure this time to have a hamper to put my clothes in, my dirty clothes in, instead of this nylon mesh bag that I'm using right now, I can probably make it fit exactly in that space, the gap between the sink and the washing machine. And it won't be exactly perfect, but it took time to grow on me. I hated it at first. I'm like, man, and I put the thing there and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, man, if I had just measured that out. But now I'm okay with it. And I'm looking at there was another thing I did here where I did measure or something with the TV. The TV, I wanted the TV to be exactly in the center of the 2 wire racks. And after I got the mounting arm and I saw the box that it came in, I'm like, shit, that's not going to be long enough. But then after I set everything up and I've been using it, I'm fine with it. I'm like, no, this works. It's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I think I like it better this way. If I get a love seat and I have to move things around, or depending on the furniture I get for the room, if I have to adjust the position of the TV, I can clamp the TV to the other wire shelf unit and move it over this way, or I can leave it where it is. I can work with it. But at first I was pissed because I actually could have sent the thing back because it's small enough to put in my backpack and make a trip to Whole Foods on my way home from the bakery. I could have easily returned it, but I'm like, nah, let's work with it and see how it goes. And so those are small examples of where I have something in my head. I want it to be this exact thing. And then I made a mistake and ordered something that wasn't what I wanted. And then I'm looking at it. But then after the fact, I'm like, no, it's probably better that I got the thing that I got instead of the thing that I wanted for this reason, that reason, another reason. The washing machine, there's 4 different reasons why it's better to get the one that I got. Just the extra capacity and how big it is. It's turned out to be, it saves me time. It fits in the space where it is, and it doesn't really get in the way of anything. And that corner of the bathroom is already fucking weird because the hot water heater's right there. And the hot water heater is only so big because when I moved in, they switched from having a small one to a full-size hot water heater. So I'm like, well, I don't like how much room it takes up in this room compared to the other one, but am I going to complain about having a 40-gallon hot water tank and being able to take hot showers and scalding hot baths anytime I want and not having to run out of hot water? I can do dishes for an hour and not run out of hot water. Like, am I really going to complain about that? No. Who would complain about that? So yeah, I'll deal with the fact that it's ugly and it could have been done differently. They could have put it outside on a concrete pad and put a awning over it, or put some, protection around it. And then had that whole, they could have done things different. But I'm not really that upset about it. And so it's like what my buddy's going through with the book cover. He's like, at first he thought it was cool. Then he sat on it and he's like, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted him to do. Why did he go and do that? Why didn't he just give me exactly what I asked for? And we had our talk yesterday, and I said, okay, I'll do one that's exactly what you asked for. And now today he's like, no, I actually like this. Hold on. I really like this now. And so, like, it's, it grows on you. I'm sure I can think of other things I've gone through with the same. I bought a coffee table, a really expensive coffee table for my old house, but I got a really good deal on it. I got it for pennies on the dollar. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was freaking ridiculously cheap because I bought a couch at the same time. And when they brought it to my house, I was all excited. But then when they brought it to my house, I was like, I don't know. Like, I started to notice things about it that I didn't like. There was a couple cracks in the wood. And there were some other things that I noticed that I never noticed when it was in the store. To the point where I wasn't even sure if they gave me the one that was in the store because it looked different. And I wasn't the only one saying that it looked different. And so I'm like, let's go to the store and just pretend we're shopping for something else and go down to where that coffee table was and see if it's still there and see if they did send me a different one. And we went down to where that coffee table was, and that coffee table was gone. So I'm like, no, it was the one. It was the one that was sitting here. I just didn't realize, like, there was just things that I noticed about it after I owned it. And so then I was kind of like, I didn't want to give it back. I didn't want to send it back. And I was going through the same thing with the couch because I'm real picky about couches. And I was starting to not like the couch. But a couch if you're sitting on a couch all the time, it's only going to last so long before it just sags and you have to get a new couch anyway. So I was like, I can live with the couch for as long as I need to, basically. But the coffee table, both of the things were bugging me because they were expensive. But they weren't. I probably got 75% off. Because I master haggled that one. But I just kept looking at it, and I'm like, man, I could show you some pictures I have. I just don't want to look at them because it'll make me upset. But so at first I loved it, and then within like a few days I was like, I don't know about these. I didn't want to take them back. I didn't want to send them back, but I just started to feel like, something's not right. Like, I didn't like it all of a sudden. For whatever reason, I just noticed different things that I didn't notice before. And I'm like, man, I don't know if and then like maybe a few more weeks, a month goes by, and I'm like, man, these are great. I love this table. I love this couch. I was like all about it after it, but I went through this buyer's remorse period. That's a good way to put it. You buy a vehicle. I bought my pickup truck to turn into an ultimate pickup truck road trip camper thing. And I went through the same thing with that. Every time I did a modification or I did something to it, I was like, this is awesome. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know about this. I don't know. And when I put the depth system in the camper shell on the back, at first I was really excited, but then one night I was camping in a major thunderstorm and some water was dripping in, and I'm like, fuck, I got totally screwed on this. Now what am I gonna do about this? And da 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 da. And I was upset because some water dripped in on me while I was sleeping, and then I was like getting all paranoid. I'm like, man, did I just waste my money and blah blah blah? And I just got into that mode. And then I started to realize, I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which camper shell I got. None of this matters. You just deal with the problems as they come. Turned out the water leak wasn't even something I had to fix as much as it was like a normal, like where it was coming in, it wasn't like, it was just the design of the thing couldn't handle that much rain being thrown at it. Every now and then, like, yeah, I'd have it parked in my driveway and we'd get a bad thunderstorm. I'd go out and I'd lift the back up and there'd be little bits of water that leaked in, and I'd be like, fuck. And I don't remember what I did about it, but eventually I was able to figure out how to get it to stop. But I didn't really do anything. I thought I was going to have to do more than I did to make it stop. I don't know. I think just a little bit of silicone in a couple spots was all it took. I don't remember, but I know I got it to like stop without hardly doing anything. I thought I was going to have to do more than I did. I think I figured out something, like it was coming in this exact spot, and I just a little bit of silicone, and then boom, it stopped. Same thing happened with my Mini Cooper. I bought this Mini Cooper, and every time it rained, the water came in through the sunroof and it went all over the inside of the car, and I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? Why did I get this fucking car? And I just started getting really like upset. And then I looked up something and it said, get a coat hanger and run it through the channels where the water's supposed to drain from your sunroof channels. Turned out the channel, there's like a tube that goes from the track where your sunroof sits down somewhere, and it drains the water out. Turns out that thing was clogged with something, and it came out when I ran a freaking coat hanger through it, and I saw what was in there. And as soon as I did that, boom, I never had another leak. Never had another leaky roof again the whole time I owned that car, no matter how hard it rained. And so it's just like buyer's remorse. You buy something, you invest in something that's expensive, and then you see something you don't like after the fact. And you go through this, oh, damn it, why did I do this? Oh, that was so stupid, and all that. And then you get, most of the time I find when I do that, give it a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden my mind has changed and I'm back to, yeah, this is really cool. I'm glad I did this. And so that's going to be the same thing when you hire a designer to do your design work. Sometimes you'll go through that buyer's remorse. You'll be like, oh, why did I hire this fucking idiot to do this? Look what he did. He didn't follow directions. He just did whatever he thought was nice. But it's not what I wanted. And then you'll walk away from it. You'll come back a week later and you'll be like, man, that's fucking awesome what he did. Look at that shit. That's me. That's going to be my website. That's going to be my book cover. Like, that's freaking awesome. So, but it doesn't have, sometimes you don't feel that way up front. Sometimes you feel that way up front. You buy a vehicle, you get home, all of a sudden you don't like it anymore. But then what are you going to do now? You've bought it. It's yours. So go through that process. And the coffee table is probably a good example for me to kind of put myself in his shoes. Like at first I was like, yes, I want this coffee. I couldn't wait for them to deliver it. And the first day or so I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm taking pictures of my living room and showing my friends, look at how nice it looks in here and all that. And then I start noticing, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't notice that before. And you know, and it just starts going down from there. But and I got into like a mode of mindset where I was like, man, why did I waste my money on this fucking dumb shit? And it just, what the fuck, man? And da 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 da. And but then like a month later, I'm like, man, this is awesome. I love coming home and chilling on this couch, and this coffee table's so nice. And I bought these footstools that matched the whole thing, and I had a real comfortable setup, and you know, and it was a nice, like really nice, like Better Homes and Gardens looking kind of shit. And but it didn't happen overnight. I wasn't cool with it on day one, or I was fine with it on the first day or two, and then by day 10 I was like, man, I don't know, what the fuck. But I wasn't gonna take it back or get a refund, but I was kind of like bummed. And then I went back up, like it just kind of went like that buyer's remorse dip, and then it came back out of it, and I was like happy again. I'm like, man, this is really cool. This is a really cool setup, yeah. Like, and people, when they came over and saw it, they're like, holy shit, that's a nice coffee table. You know, that is really fucking cool. Where did you get that? And so you would only notice the things you didn't like if you really spent some time staring at it. And you have that graphic designer's curse where you see all the imperfections and everything. But either way, it worked out, and I think that in the end, it was, you know, it was a good, it was all good. And so with this book cover, I'm tired. With this book cover, now that he says he loves it, I'm kind of like, okay, do I hold back on doing this other book cover and just let's go with it? I don't know. I'm gonna see what happens. But I thought that was kind of funny that email showed up as I was talking to you guys. But now this video is about an hour 40 minutes long, so I'm gonna say peace out, and we'll talk again later.